We live in an era where our control over the physical world appears absolute. We carve up the Earth's landscape to our liking and engineer the intricate neural networks that power complex artificial intelligence. This mastery of materials spans millennia. Humans have long taken raw, lifeless stone and bent it to our will, constructing monuments of staggering scale. Today, we take those same base elements, metal, glass, and concrete, and build structures that pierce the sky. Yet in all our ability to shape and command the matter around us, we face a glaring limitation. We cannot explain how that unconscious, malleable matter somehow woke up, looked around, and became self-aware. We can forge the elements into almost anything, but creating consciousness from scratch remains impossible. We are left with immense physical power, but a deep void when it comes to understanding our actual place in the universe. When we try to fill that void, we instinctively turn to the best observational tool we have, the scientific method. We look backwards, hoping to measure our way to the origin of everything. At measuring the mechanics of the universe, science succeeds. It allows us to track the expansion of space back to a fraction of a second after the Big Bang, and map the evolution of self-replicating molecules. A limitation arises, however, when we assume that measurement can answer every question. This perspective, often called scientism, falters when we ask about agency. Physics tracks the precise trajectory of a particle, but it has no equations for intention or will. Science gives us a beautiful blueprint of how the engine of reality runs. But when we ask why the rules of physics exist at all, the scientific method runs out of data. This diagram illustrates the concept of universal fine-tuning. It shows the specific values of elemental physical forces. If any of these sliding scales shifts by even a fraction of a percent, the delicate balance required to sustain life collapses. The mathematical odds of all these distinct, independent forces landing perfectly in the habitable zone purely by accident are vanishingly small. This level of improbability suggests the presence of an underlying intent rather than random, self-creating matter. Since we know from experience that lifeless matter does not spontaneously organize itself into complex, intelligent systems, logic steps in where observation stops. We use our rational faculties to infer the unseen from what we can clearly see. The logic of this design carries weight even in secular scientific circles. Figures like Stephen Hawking have acknowledged the rational case for a guiding intelligence, frequently describing the universe's structure through the lens of a master mathematician. Acknowledging an uncreated creator is not a rejection of science. It is the logical continuation of our search once physics reaches its absolute boundary. If reason points us toward an intentional creator, we face a new challenge. We cannot determine the specific purpose of our existence through guesswork, as relying purely on imagination is too subjective. Yet, as far back as historical records go, belief in one God exists as a consistent reality. It is not a human invention, like currency or agriculture. It is a shared, deeply rooted understanding of the universe, spanning across human history. The historical claim of monotheism is that humanity was never left to guess. Through external divine guidance delivered by messengers, we receive direct answers to the questions about purpose and meaning that fall outside the domain of the laboratory. Within this framework, the Quran represents the final stage of this guidance. Through rigorous verbal and written transmission, this specific text has been preserved in its original, authentic form. This text avoids contradicting the mechanics of science. Instead, its descriptions of nature serve as deliberate reminders, urging us to observe the physical balance around us and reflect on the intelligence that placed it there. Historically preserved revelation provides the moral framework that raw matter cannot generate. It completes a worldview that acknowledges the uncreated creator while providing specific directives for the human conscience. This perspective sits at the center of a major modern debate. Many thinkers attempt to explain human existence through a materialist lens, arguing that nothing exists beyond the physical realm. On the other side of that discussion are some of history's greatest scientific minds, who recognize the limits of observation and the profound mystery of a comprehensible universe. Defining what science does well and what faith provides eliminates the false conflict between them. It creates a space where academic inquiry and theological reflection can respectfully coexist. Applying this faith-based worldview translates directly into a tangible value system. It establishes concrete ethical standards for how we treat the environment, respect other life forms, and uphold pluralism in society. We need these standards now more than ever. The global pandemic was a harsh reality check, where a microscopic virus bypassed our technological caliber and brought our complex systems to a sudden halt. Clarifying the relationship between science and faith is crucial for our survival. To inhabit this planet together, we must clear up the misconceptions that divide us and build a foundation of mutual understanding. Acknowledging the limits of the scientific method and embracing the rational necessity of faith provides the essential ethical anchor we need. It is the key to building a resilient, peaceful coexistence in the world we share today.